Hi. You know, in this past week, we've heard an awful lot about the Newmar buyout by Winnebago. Now, I've read some articles about it, obviously, and talked to a lot of Newmar owners, and I thought I'd give you a little bit of this from a Newmar owner's perspective. I'm at a rally now with a lot of other Newmar owners, and we've talked about it a lot. And some Newmar execs even came to our rally, and they talked to us about the Winnebago acquisition, and we learned a lot. Now, you know, at first when you hear this news, you kind of think, oh, this is really bad. This is not a good thing. It's a family-owned business. The only business left is Tiffin now, and all of that. But when you look at it, there's probably a lot of good reasons why a company like Newmar would want this. First of all, it's a family-owned business, and we've certainly learned that there's a lot of family involved. And they've got to look out for their long-term, for not only their family, but for the company. Newmar went looking for this. This wasn't something that people came to them saying, we want to buy you. Newmar went looking for someone, for another company, and preferred to find one, of course, that shared their values and wanted to run a company the way that they run a company. And they found this when they found Winnebago. Now, Winnebago, of course, was interested because look at Newmar's track record. Look at Newmar's very big success in diesel pusher sales. They're like 20% of the market now. And they have no reason to want to come in and make sweeping changes to something that's very successful. I don't personally think that there's going to be a lot of issues with this, except for the back end. From what we're hearing and what we see, you can pretty much expect that the back end stuff, which is like accounting and IT and some processes, are certainly going to be changed because a larger company has taken over, or will be later this year. But the big thing is that they're going to get a lot of buying power too, don't you think? Because Winnebago being larger, they're going to have more buying power for all kinds of things, all the common parts that they would buy that are common than maybe other RVs as well. If you look at it, Winnebago also bought Grand Design, and they've done pretty well by leaving that brand alone. Thor bought Integra, and pretty much that brand's been left alone. But if you look at this from the big picture as to what can happen with a brand like Newmar when it's bought by a larger company, I know the initial reaction is, oh my gosh, things are going to change, the quality is going to go downhill. But I don't understand that. I don't understand it because the factory is the same. They just built a huge new service center. The factory is going to be the same. The people are the same. The entire executive team is the same. The designers are the same. The warranties are the same. And the coaches are the same. Why should anything be different? Well, you might say, well, something's going to be different because Winnebago is going to come in and they're going to make all these changes. Well, we'll see what they do. But I have a feeling, and from what I'm seeing, that that's just not going to be the case. If you look at it, since July of 18 to July of 19, actually in 1 year, the downturn in RV sales overall is something like 23%. So, you got to look at this whole picture and say, well, they're on the downturn. You got to protect yourself, and you might need to be under the umbrella of a larger company that can bring a lot of assets to your, enterprise, to Newmar. So, I see that a lot of people are saying that, well, now Tiffin's the only family-owned company left. And I'm like, so what? I mean, I've seen people say, well, they just built a paint shop, and so they're positioning themselves to be solid for the future. Well, Newmar's had a paint shop for years. Newmar just built one of the biggest service centers there is, and it's huge, and it's beautiful, and their service is amazing. I think their service outpaces Tiffin's. Especially since Tiffin in, 2018 or 2017 published that memo. I've got a copy of it that basically says they're not going to service any more coaches, even their own, if they're over 10 years old. And if they're over 4 years old, you're going to be waiting in line and you're going to get something like 2 techs for 3 hours and you're at the back of the line. That's not the kind of service policy that Newmar has or would expect to keep. Newmar provides technicians at rallies. Their international rally in Tampa that go around to all the coaches and do things for free or a very discounted rate right at your coach. They're very good about taking appointments for all of their coaches, no matter what the year, and their staff is just amazing. I don't see any issues with that. when you look at combining one of the oldest RV companies around, which is Winnebago, and with a company that invented the slide out, I think you've got a pretty good combination, and I really do feel that Winnebago will probably leave them alone. I don't think the quality will suffer because I believe they're literally going to leave that sort of thing, and the staff and the designers and all in place. Why change something that works? And I think Winnebago knows this. You can see the quality difference. People talk about, when we were going to buy a coach, originally we had it down to Tiffin, Newmar, and Integra. And we liked Newmar and Integra because of the build quality. And we liked Newmar and Tiffin because of their owners clubs and their support and the customer satisfaction. But then we looked at it a little closer, and I personally preferred the build quality of the Newmar a little more. I like to point out to people when they question this, go out in the early morning when there's condensation on the side of the RVs in the RV park, and go look at any other motorhome but Newmar, and you'll be able to see the framing of that motorhome. And you can see on Tiffin's and other brands where they're 2 feet and 3 feet and 4 feet and 2 feet, and they're all over the map. But go look at a Newmar, and you'll see that they're 16-inch centers, just like a house. So I'm pretty impressed with that and other factors that go into the Newmar build. And between that and their amazing owners club, one of the largest in the whole industry, with rallies and regional chapters and all over the country and in Canada, I think it's just an amazing organization. And I don't see any reason for Winnebago to make any changes from the customer-faced part of the company. So the question is, are Newmar owners really worried about this? I don't think so. Most of the ones I've talked to are just were initially concerned because of the shock of hearing the news. But when you look at it, it's not that big of a concern now because we just kind of think that we're going to see some back-end changes. But knowing that Matt Miller and the executives at Newmar and the company as we know it are going to be there for the foreseeable future makes us feel pretty good. So that's it. That's our take on the acquisition of Newmar by Winnebago. Have a great one.